All right, welcome back to Tracy and Gracie Becoming, episode 11. Hopefully you are hearing this come in after an intro that has been 11 weeks in the making.
Plenty of time to make it absolutely perfect.
Yeah, exactly. There is so much to learn about podcasting, and getting an intro into your podcast is one of them. And I have not been successful so far. So fingers crossed that you are hearing this episode come in with an intro attached to it.
Yeah, so 11 weeks actually isn't that bad, considering all of the things that we've had to learn. There really is a lot when it comes to podcast production.
Yeah. And I want it to be good.
Yeah.
I don't want it to be a boring intro. Like,
it's not going to be boring, but I will say it has to kind of shed some light onto what becoming actually means. So I do not want it to just be a little jingle without any sort of
not a little jingle
explanation. I think it's important that
Nobody
we explain.
wants to listen to an explanation every single episode. After one, they get it. So
no, I think we could
no
actually
explanation.
do an explanation. I think we could do an explanation of each and every episode.
No, we're not doing this every single episode.
All right,
Are you kidding?
We'll take this offline. So, becoming appreciative is this episode, and
Yes.
it's not lost on me that it happens to be the episode that is my favorite number. I love 11s. I actually love the number 1 because it's my birthday.
I think that's a common thing, right? Like, everybody's favorite number is like their birth date.
Yeah, but not everybody's birthday falls on the 1st. So,
You're right.
So I get to claim it as my favorite number. And it's
Gotcha.
kind of double the fun when it happens to be the 11th. And I see 11s all over the place. I love November 11th. I love January 11th, January 1st, November 1st.
Any month on the 1st or 11th, she loves.
No, especially when the month starts is the 1st or the 11th month.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Yeah. So I love it when I see 11s on the scale.
Oh,
Like
yes.
111 is my favorite number to weigh.
Yeah. Wow.
I might have been born at that weight. It's been a really long time since I've seen those 3 numbers on the scale. No, but you see them on license plates.
Okay.
Okay. So, anyways, so this podcast is, I think, so meaningful because I am always in the state of becoming appreciative. And I think any form of happiness, any form of joy, which, gratitude falls into that spectrum. And of course, appreciation falls into that spectrum. So I thought it might be kind of interesting to decipher or distinguish the difference between gratitude and appreciation in this episode. But before we get into that, I know you're probably sitting over there thinking, here she goes again, jumping right into the concept without talking about our week or our weekend, our past weekend. So let's do that.
She just doesn't like talking about our week before the episode, and I don't know why. So how was your weekend?
It was really fun. Kind of backing up to the point of last week's recording, that evening I hosted a cabbie show, which was super fun. I got to kind of reconnect with some girlfriends that I haven't seen for a lot of the summer. Some of them I had, but not all of them. And so that was really fun to just have a bunch of girlfriends in one space where we could just kind of kick back and connect and then try on clothes. And it was a really fun night.
Yeah, I'm bummed I missed it. I don't remember the last time you had a cabbie show here
It's
that
been a
I was
long
at.
time. Yeah, it's been a long time.
Yeah, so I am bummed I missed it.
And why did you miss it?
Yeah, I missed it for the best concert I have ever been to in my entire life, Zach Bryan. So I would miss your Cabby show 1,000 times over to do that. But I am so bummed that I missed it. But yeah, that was an amazing concert. I took a whole day to recover after, and then I had a super busy weekend with traveling out to Wisconsin for a friend's birthday, and then to another part of Wisconsin for, is Hudson, Wisconsin? Yeah, it is. To Hudson, Wisconsin for my friend's half marathon, and then we had the Wiener Dog races on Sunday. And that was such a treat. That was
It was so much fun.
It was so much fun. It was exhausting. I did not anticipate how exhausting it would be. Like, I feel like that many wiener dogs in one place is kind of a hazard.
And it's an overload on the emotions.
Yeah, totally. It's like you're, at least me with Meatball, he just like keeps me on edge when we're around any other dogs, but wiener dogs especially just like amp him up. And so I was like constantly like, don't bark at them, like don't lunge at them, like
Yeah. Well, we were threatened
yeah.
that if your dog goes after another dog,
Yeah.
which is highly possible when you're talking about weens,
Yeah.
that they're automatically disqualified. And we had been practicing and training for this one moment. And so
That's
we're like,
dramatic.
we would be so devastated if we were
We
disqualified.
would be. We would be because we made T-shirts. We had a whole crew of people there, so we were like, "Oh my God, if
You
we get
two be on your best
Yeah.
behavior."
Yeah, yeah. And then neither of them won, so no surprise there. But
Yeah.
they both did. Miko cross the finish line?
I mean, barely. He had to be completely coerced, and
Yeah.
he was dead last in his heat, which is so disappointing because
He's so fast.
he's so fast, but he just completely got distracted and
Yeah.
legitimately ran off of the track
Yeah,
to go play in a kiddie pool that
Yeah.
was just outside the track, and then came back, and then eventually on his own time crossed
the finish line. Yeah. And then Meatball, who I didn't think would run at all, he was after Miko. So after seeing Miko like turn around mid sprint, I was like, Meatball's not even gonna move. Like I have no faith in him. And then he took off like right at go, and then went after another dog. So he did cross the finish line. We did not get disqualified. They just wrestled for a second, and then he came running to the finish line. So
one thing that I thought was super funny was when you're in the lineup.
Mm-hmm.
So Gracie and I were in two different heats. So we lined up at, like, there was almost 2 hours in between our lineups. But
Yeah.
when we were in the lineup, the guy was kind of going over the rules and what we can expect. And he was joking because he said there's two finish lines. The first finish line is for the dogs. The second finish line is for the humans. And he said, and it's always very difficult for these humans to recognize that they need to be behind the second finish line. And so in my mind, I'm like, second finish line. Do not mess this up, Tracy. And I have video of Gracie standing on the...
I was just gonna say, they didn't tell us that.
I have video of you standing on the first finish line and then them saying something to you and you're like, oh, and you turn
They
around.
never told us that. It also was raining. Like, it started to downpour on us, like, as soon as we were getting the rules. So maybe they just skipped over that, but they didn't tell us to stand behind the second finish line. They did tell me to move when I stood on the first one, but
Yeah, trying to get that unfair advantage.
yeah, whatever.
No, it was really fun. And honestly, the common thread throughout the weekend was friends. I mean, we had
Yeah.
such a great opportunity to spend time with friends. We had some friends out of town come and stay with us on Friday night.
Yeah.
On Saturday, Bryce, Dad, was in a golf tournament, and he didn't do as well as he had hoped, but
Yeah.
there was an awards banquet afterwards, and his golf partner, who happens to be lifelong friends of ours, and his wife, we all went to the awards banquet together, and so that was really fun. It just was such a fun
Yeah.
friends-filled weekend.
Yeah. Yeah. It was. It
I'm
was a good
very
weekend.
grateful for that.
Grateful or appreciative?
I'm very grateful. So the difference between grateful and appreciative, as it all turns out, is that you feel gratitude almost always in reflection. So kind of thinking back on events, or thinking back on maybe things people have done for you. It's typically, gratitude is an emotion that is derived from a reflective kind of state. Whereas appreciative is a vibration, an emotion that you feel in the moment. So, today is a beautiful, sunny, bright day. It's like we're looking outside the window right now, and there's just a nice breeze, and we can see the wind kind of going through the leaves on the trees. And I am so appreciative of how beautiful it is outside. And I think about where my brain goes from there. And it's so interesting because it does move quickly into gratitude, because I start contrasting against like what I know is coming. So I know
Which is what?
winter.
Oh.
Okay, so that's my, of course, hypervigilant little saboteur narrative coming in, like, oh my God.
We skipping fall?
Don't forget. Don't forget, the winter's on its way. And so gratitude also has you contrasting. So, like the contrast is often a feeling that, is unwanted. And so I think gratitude is still an emotion that kind of centers around happiness and joy, but there is some conflict or contrast in the conversation, in the narrative. So there's some comparison going on. So I notice how I can go from kind of this happiness in the moment to what it is that I'm experiencing, just this bright sunny day, and just being like, very appreciative. And it does flow quickly into gratitude because I start comparing it against, yesterday's rainy day or the winter that's, on its way.
Yeah.
So that's the distinction. There's several distinctions. One is gratitude has you coming from a place of reflection, where appreciation is, a feeling that you're feeling in the moment. And I would also say gratitude has a bit of contrast involved, and appreciation, there's literally no contrast. It's all, goodness, I guess.
Yeah.
I guess another example, using an event that a lot of people have now heard about, was our break-in. We talked about that last week in the becoming hypervigilant, or becoming, sorry, not hypervigilant.
Yeah.
Vigilant.
Careful there.
Yeah, we don't want to be hypervigilant.
No.
But I wouldn't say, I appreciate that they didn't come into our home. I would say I'm grateful that they didn't come into our home.
Right.
So, there's, of course, the contrast of the fact that we were broken into in the first place. And I'm grateful that it didn't get to the extent where they were able to make their way into our home. Right. And so I'm appreciative now of like everything that we have. Like, I appreciate the fact that we are more vigilant, like that in the moment. I'm actually not thinking about any sort of contrast. I'm just appreciating right now, like how aware we are of our surroundings, of, and I can actually kind of appreciate the gift of it even happening, because it has brought us to where we are today. And all I have to say is, if that purse is still in the backseat of your car, we are going to have some words. And your face tells me that it is. Are you kidding me? Oh my God. Okay, we deserve everything we get here.
Mom, nobody came here. They didn't even see the purse.
Oh, so we're just going to leave it in the back and see how long we
They
can
didn't
dangle
even
that
know.
carrot?
No, it's under a bunch of things now.
Oh my God.
I forgot.
Yeah, like I said, we deserve every bit of this. My gratefulness just went out the window.
You can't even see it in my car. If you look in the windows, you can't see it.
Okay.
I will take it
Let's
out.
move on to another topic before my gratitude completely wears out.
I was gonna say is I don't think that many people make that connection or understand the difference between the two, because I feel like I have always used like being grateful or appreciative interchangeably, rather than, I mean, you just don't think about it, but I think that hearing it now, like that makes total sense. Like we would never say that we were appreciative for something like burglars not coming into our house, like,
Right.
but we are grateful for it.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I like went to the Googles on this, and appreciation is recognizing the value and meaning something brings to your life. Appreciation is generally felt in the present moment. For example, you might feel appreciative of a beautiful sunny day or appreciative of a friend who is there for you when you need them. Appreciation is often felt viscerally or emotionally. Where gratitude is also a feeling of thankfulness, but it goes a bit deeper. Gratitude reflects on how someone or something has impacted you in a positive way. It is a sense that you have benefited in some way from someone else's actions. Gratitude also implies acknowledging that the thing you are grateful for is a gift that you didn't necessarily earn or deserve. Gratitude is often felt over time as you reflect on what someone has done for you. For example, you feel grateful for the sacrifices your parents made so you could have opportunities in life. And like we already said, appreciation is more about recognizing the present positive value of something, while gratitude is more about reflecting on how someone or something has contributed to your life in the past. Appreciation doesn't necessarily require reflecting deeply, while gratitude involves a sense of indebtedness and thankfulness for a gift or favor you received. And I think the only thing that it misses in this is that contrast. I think if you have the ability to use contrast and look at it through the lens of a gift and an opportunity, that often makes you grateful. That puts you in a really grateful state when you have that contrasting moment. And a lot of our clients, we work on developing that prodigy brain perspective where everything, literally everything, can be looked at as a gift and an opportunity. And so we work on that every single week on our group coaching call. We work on how can you look at this as a gift and an opportunity. And that requires you to be able to see the contrast and to be grateful and actually appreciate in that moment that there even was contrast. Contrast, this gets a little deep, but contrast actually creates desire. We would have zero desires if we weren't sorting and sifting through the muck of life.
Right.
So all of the hard, quote unquote, times, is what literally creates our desires. And desires plus belief is what creates our results. So if you have a belief that, this is impossible, this is hard, this will never happen, that's your result right there. It's so likely that that's the result you're going to create for yourself. But if you have belief ahead of time that that desire is just a matter of time, your result is, you're on the journey to creating, and that feels so different.
Yeah.
And so that's what it is a little deep. And I think, contexting it in the way I just did on a podcast to people who really don't have, the background on, primitive versus prodigy brain and the saboteur narratives and things like that, that can get a little confusing. But that's why we invite people to come join us for master classes or come join us for Free Coaching Friday, so that you start to better understand yourself, and not think of yourself as somebody who's broken or destined to live this uncomfortable, unsatisfied, unfulfilling life.
I think the other thing is that people don't even know that they're living that way.
Right.
Like, it's not even that, because obviously if you ask anybody, they don't want to live that way, right? Like, so I think that the bigger issue is that lack of awareness around either living that way or why they're living that way. Because it's like you go through life not knowing that you're being sabotaged by your primitive brain, and it's all these little things, or at least like as I've been learning it, it's like all of these little things like day to day that you would not attribute to your like primitive brain creating these results. But it's like going back to when you said the belief, say that again, the
Desire plus belief equals your result.
And it's like, that's something that literally I don't think anybody ever puts into context when they're thinking about why they're getting the results they're getting.
And the crazy thing about that is that it's desire plus your belief equals your result right now. We're not talking about in 20 minutes or in 20 years.
Yeah.
We're talking about your desire plus whatever you think about that desire is what creates your experience, your current experience.
Right.
And so being mindful of that and recognizing you actually have a choice can be a huge awakening for people. Because to your point, the people who are walking around not even recognizing that they feel unfulfilled or they feel skeptical or defeated or confused, they also don't recognize that they have a choice. So there are these incremental steps that, are necessary in your journey of understanding. I kind of think of gratitude and appreciation in that same sort of way. I think that, as you are incrementally becoming the next best version of yourself, you incrementally learn how to go from gratitude to appreciation, right? Because they're both forms of happiness and joy. One is only achieved in retrospect.
Right.
Where the other is achieved in the moment. And so they are kind of, if you think about it, like rungs on a ladder. Appreciation is that next rung after being able to feel grateful. And so these incremental steps in understanding yourself and sometimes understanding kind of concepts is necessary. You don't go from not understanding to understanding. There's a journey in between.
Right.
And so that really is our biggest mission with this podcast, is helping people understand that this is a journey, right? We have no expectation for anything otherwise. It's like we really want people to come along for the ride and watch as we intentionally decide what it is that we are becoming and kind of set our sights, our focus on that, but with an expectation that there really is no finish line. And so we are in this constant state of becoming kind of these next best versions of ourselves. And it's just fun to declare outwardly what it is that we're focusing on right now. And so focusing on appreciation for me, how can I be appreciative right now in this moment? Sometimes that looks just like satisfied. I really do appreciate this podcast. It brings us together. Man, I'm grateful too for all the people who reach out to us and say that they were listening to us on their walk and they were laughing out
Yeah.
loud. Or I've had several people reach out and give me ideas. And so far, we have not had any trouble coming up with an idea. We kind of
Yeah.
just use our own life experience to decide what's going to be appropriate for the week. But I'm so grateful for those people who are reaching out. And but I also have a ton of appreciation, like right now, this very moment, for this podcast and how it has become something that you and I could have never even banked on.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, like we said last time or last episode, like if you would have asked me a year ago, I would have shot it down so fast. And so I definitely feel that appreciation towards the podcast because it's like, it proves, I think, my growth in like not only me as a person, but with the company. And I think that the gratefulness comes from like all of the episodes that we've done prior. Like I'm grateful that we even started it in the first place, and I'm grateful that we do it every week and that we're still putting out episodes. And so, yeah, I would say that's where my appreciation lies with the podcast.
Yeah, yeah. What else? Do you have any other examples of appreciation versus gratitude?
I'm trying to think.
Typically when I'm helping people kind of look into the containers of their life, I sometimes will take them down you can look down the social container. You could look down more of like the physical, emotional, mental container. If that seems too vague, you can look at relationships, you can look at finances, you can look at performance, health and wellness.
What would be another one that you have?
I would say I am really grateful for my health, and it's so clear to me that grateful is what I'm feeling. It's really not appreciation right this very moment. It is grateful because I am absolutely reflecting back on kind of conditions and circumstances in the past that I'm comparing to. So yeah, I'm very grateful for my health. And I have moments of appreciation, but I will say the contrast is like, I always think, oh, and it could be better. Like,
Yeah.
I had my pickleball lesson yesterday, and I was so excited to win my first game. We were playing in a doubles tournament, or a game, I guess, not really a tournament, but and we won, and I had somebody on my team who was brand new. She had never, ever, ever played. But
Funny.
my opponents were the same. That was somebody who's played, not a lot. They're still considered a beginner, but they too had somebody that had never played. So there was this kind of back and forth, like the people who were actually scoring the points were the two of us that have had experience. And so I felt like this immense amount of pressure. Like, oh my God, the competitive person, part of me definitely came out. But I kept thinking, I am so grateful for like my abilities, like the fact that I even was willing to kind of put myself out there, take these lessons, do it by myself.
Right.
And then I found myself in appreciation. Like I was definitely appreciating the here and the now. So,
Yeah.
health and wellness, I think, is an easy one to like see the contrast in those emotions.
Yeah, I would say that's probably, I can relate to that being like when I'm working out or even just like going for a walk. I feel like I was thinking today even like it was so nice out and I was like, this is so nice to be out here, and like I could feel my appreciation for like just being able to take like Meatball out on a walk. But then in the back of my mind, I was thinking about how stinks that it's going to get cold soon. And
Really?
well, not like, I wasn't thinking winter. I was just thinking like, oh, I guess I kind of was. I was kind of thinking about what I was going to do when it's back to winter, because he doesn't walk in the snow. Like, he refuses to walk when it's cold out. And so I was like, this is going to get tricky when we're all under the same roof and it is winter, because we can't take them for walks anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely don't want to think about that.
Yeah, no, that is a very scary thought, because right now we can just have them sit outside and hang out, but
Yeah, it's so funny, the revolving door that we have of people going on walks. So Dad goes on a walk like at 6:37
it takes our big dogs out for
with
a walk.
Bixby, and then you've been going on a walk and you've conveniently been leaving Miko.
That is such, no,
Yes.
no.
I look out my window and I see you,
Yeah,
you two like waddling up the driveway
Yeah.
without Miko.
Miko chooses not to come. He doesn't want to go for walks with me.
Yeah, it's funny.
Like,
And then
I'm
I
not
get
going
off
to
my
chase him around the house until I can get a leash on him.
And then I get off my call and I go out there and he's like begging to be taken on a walk.
Oh, for sure. No, he's begging for her to throw his ball. He does not want to go he doesn't like walks. He doesn't.
He liked it yesterday when I took him.
Weird, because he does not like me putting on his leash.
Okay. Anyways, what else are you grateful for?
Not Miko. I'm kidding. I love Miko, but
There's a little bit of contrast there.
there is contrast there. I would say with our job, I would say I am grateful for all of the learning we're doing. I wouldn't say that I guess it depends on what I'm talking about, but I definitely don't see the appreciation as much in the moment. I'm grateful after the fact, like once I've learned how to do something, but I would say that the appreciation in learning is not there, probably.
Right. Yeah. In the moment, it's kind of hard to see that. Today, we do our group coaching calls on Wednesdays, and I will always recognize this very strong emotion, and it is absolutely appreciation for our clients who show up every single week.
Oh,
and
yeah,
it's so
for
funny
sure.
because there's a few of them that they're the ones that are always in the waiting room when
Yeah,
I log
prior to
on,
it.
waiting to come in, and they're just ready. Like they're hungry for, this connection and learning. And oh man, do I appreciate them. Like it's
Yeah.
just such an overwhelming feeling of, appreciation. And so I think that's really what has me getting out of bed on Wednesday mornings. Like I literally cannot wait to have that experience. I'm just sometimes at awe over it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have clients yet, but I do feel that too. Like it is fun to see everyone every week and like get to interact with everybody. And then with the coach program, the training that we're doing to become coaches, I would say the appreciation is definitely there in the moment when we're on like our coaching calls with each other, like just everybody being so open and like willing to be coached or to coach other people. So that's where I definitely see the appreciation with them.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I think I would just challenge people to have an awareness around, the differing degrees, I guess, of happiness and joy, and ask yourself, like, which is it? What is it that I'm experiencing? And how can I create that, more often for myself?
Right.
It's all about the abundance and your ability to control and to create, and recognizing, looking at the contrast and appreciating that because you believe that it was meant to be there so that, you can strengthen your brain, that muscle that can have that perspective that everything is a gift and an opportunity. For that very reason, you can appreciate the contrast. The what some people would say, quote unquote, are the negative parts of your life or those unwanted feelings. There's a purpose to that. And that's a belief that I hold so sacred because it creates a sense of appreciation for even the things that most people would never appreciate.
Right. Yeah, I think that when you said that, I heard the rejection is God's protection. But it's stuff like that, that awareness that, or lack of awareness, you don't realize how much like the contrast is needed because you wouldn't ever feel happiness if you didn't know what sadness was. So,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah. Or, grief. You only feel grief or loss of a loved one because
'Cause you
you
love them so
indeed
much.
loved them so much. So, yeah, just really important reminders. And hopefully, this episode will just get you thinking a little bit. I think we are all on this pursuit of happiness, but I really want to challenge people to think of it not as a finish line, but always as kind of this state of becoming, as the pursuit is a journey, and really embrace that.